intentional second-degree murder while committing a felony. Find the defendant guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty.
Today, we are able to breathe again.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Welcome to the Wednesday's edition of the Full 100. Today is Wednesday, the 21st of April. And guys, we've come full circle as of last night, guys. You see from the video that I started the show with, you know, we can be happy and celebrate, but the celebration will be short-lived, as I'm going to explain to you in a moment. Guys, Chauvin, the killer officer, was found guilty yesterday, minutes before he was declared guilty. A 16-year-old girl was shot dead by a police officer who chose a gun rather than a taser. Guys, this is a huge issue. It's an ongoing battle. It wipes the smile off your face, and it's not a good feeling. Guys, without further ado, let's delve into today's show. I want to start with, I don't normally read out statements on my show, but I've written a few lines down, and I want to say in the order that I've written it down. May 2020, mine and millions of lives changed. I became an activist, a public speaker. I became a freedom fighter. I was determined to join a fight that millions have been engaged in for decades. Last night, nearly a year later, we saw a sadistic killer held to account. It is the only way black and minority populations across the world will get a fairer deal from policing authorities if accountability is assured. Much in the same way as you or I get held accountable for our crimes or bad decisions. This is only the beginning, guys. You just saw the clip a moment ago with Chauvin getting found guilty. However, just moments before that, guys, a 16-year-old girl was shot dead by police in another state, in the state of Ohio. Her name is KHIA, BRYANT. She could have been stopped with a taser. The officer chose a deadly weapon instead. Guys, we need to harness the energy from the George Floyd fallout, from the George Floyd murder back in May of 2020. We need more boots on the ground. Millions have been engaged, but many, many more millions have gone on like it's nothing to do with them. I felt a change in the air when that happened. I felt the energy. And I was really disappointed that many more did not feel that energy. You know, when you feel you're on the verge of getting something done? That's what I felt. And this trial, a year later, has proven me right. Because there's something with this trial that's very different that we're going to touch on. But before we do that, guys, the question is, what needs to happen now? Take a look at my next video.
But I just want to add to, when Van said that there's a lot more to be done. What there needs to be done, police officers around the country are going to have to do things. They are going to have to hold their fellow officers accountable. There are other officers who are involved in this particular incident. And in that moment, it doesn't seem that they held their fellow officers accountable. And with the Army lieutenant in Virginia, no one held that officer accountable as he was spraying the other officer and treating him in a way that was just demoralizing and disrespectful. So yes, it's incumbent upon the citizens to hold these police officers accountable, but it's going to be incumbent upon the organization and the fellow officers who are there every day with those officers who are not doing the right thing to hold them accountable.
Welcome back, guys. Do you know what the main difference in this trial was? The main difference in not just this trial as opposed to others in America, but this trial as opposed to those even here in the UK. Do you know what the main difference was? His fellow officers turned their backs on him. Much in the same way as you'd expect your friends to turn your back on you when you do something really terrible and despicable. His fellow officers turned their backs on him. This, my friends, those of you who watch this video who are engaged in this space of freedom fighting and fight for change, all Black Lives Matter affiliates and groups, our focus needs to be on changing the culture within the police to stand by their own no matter what. When we change that culture, the jury sees through it, and the jury understands that this guy has broken the code of conduct. That, my friends, is where we need to focus our fights alongside other things, but we need to engage that particular issue, guys, because that was the main difference in this trial. And until the so-called good cops start testifying, start calling out, start reporting, start charging the bad cops, we won't see real change. We won't. Because the next trial, if the officers choose to go back to how things are and back their fellow officer, the jury probably acquit. We also need to change our jury system, but that's another conversation for another day. Take a listen to what police chief says and understand really what I'm saying.
Chief, do you think that it was, Chief, do you think that it makes a difference to have the police chief there and other officers testifying against a fellow officer in a trial that is this big, that has so much attention? You said a springboard. I think it's an inflection point, possibly.
Well, the other officers is really more important than the police chief testifying, because the average cop expects the police chief to be able to testify and say, well, he broke the rules, broke the regulations, and so forth. It's the peer pressure. It's the people on the street. It's when the time comes when some cop that did something wrong, and in that locker room, somebody pulls them aside and say, hey, we don't do that here. We don't do that. That's when you get change. That's culture change. And that's what has to happen. It can happen, not overnight, but it can happen. And it starts with holding people accountable that operate outside of the bounds of justice.
Welcome back, guys. That is the key, guys. That is the key. I want to make an appeal to many who haven't joined the fight. Many I see on social media celebrating, but yet didn't participate last year. You can't claim a victory that you had nothing to do with. You cannot claim a victory that might have touched you, but you kept it moving. You cannot claim a victory that you didn't concern yourself on. But you know what? It's not too late, guys. I urge anyone with a platform, anyone with a voice, join the fight now. Join the fight now. Things will change. The more of us there is, the more things will change. Armies do not win wars with a slim brigade. You know, when they start to lose, they send in for reinforcements. That's how you win, and that's how you get victories. It's not too late, guys. I urge everybody who knows me, everybody, whether you know me or not, if you haven't been involved last summer to this point, summer's coming again. Find a way to get involved. Find a way to see what you can do yourself. You know, we've just seen Boris Johnson issue the most ridiculous report talking about there's no racism in this country. We have a huge fight on our hands. But one thing I know is Biden's on the right page. And my last video is an amazing phone call. A phone call I never thought I'd see from a Western leader. Someone asked me the other day on a group chat, on a BLM group chat, how do I know Biden's going to go and make a difference? And I advised him. I said, look, Biden's already been arresting white supremacists. Biden has put white supremacy, terrorism, above Islamic terrorism. For the first time, any government, any Western nation will even think of doing that. Can you imagine Boris saying white supremacy is an issue and is more dangerous to our nation, our democracy than Islamic terrorism? Can you see Boris doing that? But you know what? Biden and Kamala Harris did something amazing yesterday, guys. And I caught the whole thing on tape. And I want to share that with you guys today. Take a listen at the call that Biden and Kamala Harris made moments after the guilty decision, the guilty verdict, sorry, okay, when he spoke to George Floyd's family and he reminded them, not they, he reminded them of what his daughter said a year ago. My dad will change the world. He has. He's starting to. He has changed the world. He's changed me. He's changed me. So she was right. Biden reminded them of that. And Biden assured them that he will make sure that things change. And I tell you lot who live in the UK, I'm not looking to our government. I'm looking to America. You know why? When America sneezes, we follow suit. When America starts to change the fundamental systems that keep racism in place, European nations will have no choice but to follow suit. We've seen it with Sarah's law. We've seen it with everything. So as long as Biden and his team are on point, whoever's in charge of this country will have no choice. Take a listen and take a look at this video, and I'll see you all on the other side to say my goodbyes.
Vice President Kamala Harris has called the Floyd family. I think we have a clip. Watch this.
Hello. Hello. Hey, how you doing?
How's Gianna doing?
Feeling better now. Nothing is going to make it all better, but at least God, now there's some justice.
Right.
And you know, I think Gianna's coming. My daddy's going to change the world. He's going to start to change it now.
That's right.
Yes. Amen.
Start to change it now. So you've been incredible. You're an incredible thing. I wish I were there just with my arms around you. I'm standing here with Cedric. We've been talking. We've been watching every second of this. And the Vice President, all of us, and we're all so relieved. Not just one verdict, all three. Truly on all three counts. And it's really important. I'm anxious to see you guys. I really am. And we're going to get a lot more done. We're going to get police. We're going to do a lot. We're going to stay at it till we get it done.
Hopefully this is the momentum for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to get passed and have you sign.
That and a lot more. Not just that, but a lot more.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, this is our first shot at dealing with genuine systemic racism. Look, there's two people here that feel strongly as life. The Vice President, she wants to say something.
Okay.
I'm just so thankful to the entire family. Your courage, your commitment, your strength has been a strength for so many people meet. And this is a day of justice in America. And your family have been, and history is going to show real leaders at this moment where we needed you. And in George's name and memory, we are going to make sure his legacy is intact and that history will look back at this moment. You have to sacrifice so much, your family did too. But we really do believe that with your leadership and the president that we have in the White House, that we're going to make something good come out of this tragedy, okay?
That was pretty amazing. I can bet you none of you, no one has ever seen anything like that in history. Let me ask you guys something. Those black folks who support Trump and who had Trump's back in arguments and debates, what do you think Trump would have been doing at this point when that guilty verdict? To tell you the truth, I don't even think that guy would have got found guilty. The amount of crap that Trump would have been spewing back in the police, even though his own guys killed police officers in January, but claim they got the back of the police until it suits them, until they want to achieve some mad stuff, and then the police are just an obstacle in the way. Think about what the world would be today if Trump was in charge during this trial, off the back of Boris claiming there's no racism in the UK. I'll leave you lot to do the maths. Guys, we've come to the end of the show. Thanks again for watching. I'm looking at cutting my show down to twice a week, guys. I'm working on it. My workload's increased since the unlock. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. It's getting more difficult to carry out 3 shows a week. I'm gonna carry it for as long as possible, but I might eventually cut it down to just a Tuesday and a Thursday, if I'm honest. So guys, I'll keep you posted anyway. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel and share and like. And enjoy your midweek. And I'll see you all on Friday. Subscribe. Bye-bye.